So I'm so excited tonight to have Lola with me to really dive deep. I mean, she has like seriously built an incredible empire and is doing like so many cool things and so much incredible work, even like since we worked together. And like something that I see so often, and I know Lola has thoughts here too, and Lola, I want you to actually introduce yourself, but is that like so many women are, and I talk about this all the time, but I'm like excited to bring someone in who's also like seen both sides of the street. And I know you see it, Lola, and the women that you're surrounded by in the marketing world as well. They're basically like moving and grooving like men and exhausted and not getting results and like not stepping into that queen flow and not really understanding like how to use their feminine magic to basically get what they want, which is something that we learn in working with me. And I'm just so excited to have Lola here to talk about her journey and also just like her thoughts. She is an incredibly powerful marketing success consultant. So also just like has such incredible knowledge to share with us there from her perspective professionally, in addition to chatting about our work together and all that yummy stuff. And I'm just really happy to be here. So thank you for joining.
Yay! Jocelyn, it's so awesome to be on the other end of your Zoom since I spent about 6 months of last year doing this every single week, multiple times with you in the cohort. So everyone, I'll introduce myself a little bit and in the context of my experience with Jocelyn and her magical work. My name is Lola Bakare. And I have pivoted the job title a little bit. So yes, I'm a marketing success consultant, but I'm these days introducing myself as an advisor to CMOs, because that's kind of what I do in that work, and inclusive marketing strategist, which will tell you all about how the path to actually being that came out of Jocelyn's brain, which is awesome. So you will get a lot of extraneous value from working with her that you would never have even expected. So my journey to meeting Jocelyn has been one of working my way up through the corporate world on a number of really exciting brands like Gatorade, Diageo, Smirnoff, Dell, but then getting to a point where I decided to go out on my own and become an independent consultant. Awesome. But 6 years into that, I realized that I was sinking all my time and energy into just one context of like one-on-one client work with a very small set of individuals. I didn't feel lit up and I didn't feel like my full self. And I didn't feel like I had a platform to teach beyond just that context of like me and this one company, me and this one company. So a mutual friend introduced me to Jocelyn, and the rest truly was history. And if you've spoken to me in the last year, you already know this because it's the first thing I say. But what I didn't realize was that not just a coaching situation where I was getting feedback and advice from someone outside of myself who really had so many, you called it the other side of the coin, the other sides of the coin of how I had been functioning to push me, but doing that in the context of a group of other people to have a community to push me, it was an absolute game changer. And there's so much like detail to share there, but that's like, I would say the, the journey line to where I am today, which is I have a website, which I've been wanting to launch for ages. It's makeitbe.co. I branded my business outside of myself. My business is BCO. We help marketers become their highest professional selves through a number of different products that are ultimately going to be making money for me in my sleep. One of which is a group for women marketers on LinkedIn called Ascend. We already have almost 300 women with these crazy job titles, chief marketing officers, VPs, people who ultimately, when I do have that product to market to them, are going to be my customers, just there waiting, that I minister to. And I'm getting comfortable using that word minister because that's what it really is. I minister to them on a weekly basis just to keep them upbeat and excited about their work. And then I am also, and this is the one I'll pause to let Jocelyn jump in after this, but this is the piece that she really helped me shape that has been literally a life changer, which was how, and I think it speaks to this idea of moving in your intuitive femininity in response to the really call to action led from the brutal murder of George Floyd, and all of our collective decision. I think, everybody watching feels this too. Many of us just decided to say, how is my work going to reflect a contribution to where the world needs to go? And those of you who may know me, a couple of you know me from undergrad who I know are in this group. Jocelyn and I went to Penn together, even though we didn't know each other, but I was always involved in like the United Minorities Council and all different organizations all about justice. One of my great friends, who's a mutual friend of Jocelyn's too, Stefan Nicolo and Paul Farber, like these are, we all grew up like wanting the right thing to be done. And so taking that lens and using it to shape how I look at marketing, collectively in workshopping with Jocelyn, we came up with this program, Maximize the Movement. And that is my offering to help marketers make their campaigns, their creative, their websites, their product strategy, everything having to do with their marketing more inclusive in a way that also drives the bottom line. It's a novel idea. It happened in a one-on-one with Jocelyn. Literally, I don't understand where it came from. The name came from her. My initial name was something like Elevate Your Impact. Like, it makes me want to vomit thinking I could have gone to market with that. And it's just been a game changer. People are responding to it.
Everyone loves it. So because people here don't know you, so I want them to have like full context too around, so we can like help them understand the journey of like where your business was and how you were moving through it, and then like, things changed to where they are now, because obviously now you have more clients, you're making more money, you have support, you're like known, you have a community, you have presence, like you're a full-blown brand.
Yes.
With like,
I'll use your words to describe where we were before.
What's that?
I'll use your words to describe where we started, because
Okay.
I'll never forget them. And this is the other thing I want to share with the group. If you're going to work with Jocelyn, this is not about like fairy dust and like happiness all the time. You will often be pushed to face your truths. And one of the first things she said to me was, when I was sharing what I do in my business, which is that I work with a corporation that's very private as a almost sort of internal marketing consultant, doing pretty much everything that they need to be done, but like not really being able to talk about it outside of the work. So just kind of like back office, helping them, making great money, but like, not really getting anything out of it that I can use to make things bigger. And also just feeling the pressure, because when you have one or two major clients, like you become like all you think about all day is pleasing them. So I was in that, like, you call it codependent mindset of service, of chasing, of like, what do they need? What do they need? What do they need? Am I doing okay?
Good girl vibes. We were doing good girl vibes of like, I hope it's okay.
Yes.
I hope it's okay.
Is it okay? And she said, you are a high paid babysitter. Let's let that land. And you need to no longer be a high paid babysitter. And so that hurt. But it was true.
You could take it.
But it was true, I could take it. And I mean, I'll skip to the two, which is that like I'm creating content that I love so much, I don't even care if people respond to it. Like when you get to that point of putting your message out into the world in a way that feels so right that you're not even going back to check the likes and the shares and the da-da-da, guess what? It results in business. And that's what's been happening. Almost every day now, I get an email from someone inquiring about some sort of way of working together. And it's like, it's insane. It just keeps happening from showing up with my voice. And that is also something I didn't feel comfortable doing in the beginning. So the transformation is huge. We have, I'm sure there's much more for us to get to. I'll let Jocelyn respond, but the other piece of it is allowing yourself to have help. So allowing yourself to show up.
Yeah.
But allowing yourself to only work within your zone of genius and everything else gets outsourced. That was a huge hurdle for me. And I think it is for many women, and especially women of color who are used to having to do it all and take pride in that. Like, I think this idea of moving into a more feminine energy is stopping with the idea that your accomplishments equate to your value and your sense of worth. Like that's inherent. You don't have to prove it.
I always say, I'm like, you're not your business. It needs to be like, we love our businesses so much. We're ambitious women, etc. But like, you're the fucking queen and you just happen to be like running an empire. But who you are, like as your woman, needs to feel full. And you need to be well supported in order to, I mean, I know now you've even gone on to increase your income further, but it increased, I mean, you were already doing well, and then it increased an additional 40% in like the first 60 days.
Yeah, and let's talk about that moment, because that's an important one. This is where I think, Jocelyn, what you're always sharing with your audience, which is that this doesn't have to take a long time. You can change the dynamics, you can attract new business in a moment. And one of the things I think, especially for any people who want to work with you but are looking to get ahead in a more corporate context, so much of the importance of leveling up is simply about what you're willing to ask for. I mean, I guess with every business, but like in this case, I was lucky enough to get started with Jocelyn right before a major negotiation period came up. And I was like, oh no, this is good. Like, we're doing good. Like, keep the same terms with them. And she was like, no, it needs to be this. Ask for it. And I was like, she's crazy. This woman's going to get me fired from my contract. Like, she doesn't know I need to protect this. Like, this is my bread and butter. I went in there. And when I tell you that was the easiest yes I ever got, 40% up level in a moment, just from being willing to do it and being pushed to do it, like immediate ROI on our work together, literally before any of the other stuff that's like, let's not even talk about it. I'm in the middle of negotiating a speaking engagement where I go in for 90 minutes and I walk out with $5,000.
Yep, that's what we're here for, baby.
So like, I mean, it's like,
I love that. And every single client who's been business to business, who has come through the cohort, I have moved towards making more money with their existing client. Every single client, the primary firm that they are working with, every single one got the money. I'm like, I promise you, up, down, backwards, forwards, present it like this, ask for this, they will pay you. And they do every time.
It's almost easier than trying, because it's not even their money. Like anybody watching,
it's
like,
not their money, exactly.
Do is say yes.
And it's not even that different, because so many of us are like, I'm not even in your world, but I spent so long in corporate marketing, like I get it, right? So I'm easily able to help women in that space, and I actually really love to. But even in this service space, like when we're more working with individual people, it's the same thing with pricing. Basically, you renegotiating a contract is you raising your price. Same concept, right? And we get so wobbly and back and forth and all this drama, but it's really just that same, like, because what you really did was like, well, one, obviously, thank you for trusting me. And then
thank you for getting me there. It wasn't easy, I'm sure.
Of course.
Initially. No, that's another thing, learning to trust. Like, I think that's another shadow of the more quote unquote masculine energy. It's like, even if someone I know I can trust says something like you, and it challenges a paradigm, like I want to hang on to the old belief, like for dear life, instead of just walking into this new reality. And that, like, I've gotten much better at that from practicing it with you.
Definitely, because the next thing that we did was hire support into your business, because we were an exhausted one-woman show.
Yes.
Which is never a vibe.
And it's like, that's been dramatic, because people ask me, how are you able to create these new things?
I mean, you create so much content with so much ease, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, because you're not worrying about all this other stuff. And even creating the content, to me, is just the idea. Like, I don't do anything more than put ideas in a note stock. All the presentations and all the pretty graphics and all that stuff, like, other people are bringing those to life. I'm approving and shaping the vision for those, but I'm not in Canva, like, tinkering. God, no.
because you're the queen, right?
Like, I'm not even good at it. Like it's a disservice to the world for me to try to take the work of other people who are really great at that. Why would I?
I always think back to her because she's called this like this economy of generosity. Andrea, I don't know if
Yes. I love her.
love it because I'm like, why are we being shy, asking for money, stepping up, making money, doing the things, helping people, and then we go out and hire other people and help them too to be in their zone of genius. Like everybody's winning here.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody wins. Like we are creating a complete, like, you don't like the matrix, you don't like the old paradigm, well then we have to create a new economy.
Yep.
And so what does that look like? It doesn't look like women being stressed out, burnt out, overworking, no help, like all the things. I mean, you know what I've had to say about feminism. Like, yes, it's amazing. Like we obviously needed to be able to like vote and have equal pay and all of those things, but it came with a shadow side, like everything else of this, like, do it like a man, do it like a man, do it like a man. And also most men, when it comes to getting help, they are very good in the corporate world around like delegating. They love to delegate. But when I say do it like a man, I mean more like push, 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 go, 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 go. And they're built for that, just their physical body, which is great, fantastic. But like, we don't need to work like that. And I remember like we're built to receive, right? But like we don't always know how to create a container within our own business where you actually get to kick back, receive,
yes,
make more money, and your job, all you need to do is approve stuff, show up, chat, direct.
Yes.
Done.
Well, and I will
science, you know.
I have a thought on this, at least in my experience of how that because I was thinking about this earlier today. The masculine energy for me that was not helpful throughout my whole career. Honestly, it led to, I think, some friction, but then especially in the first couple of years of my consulting career, which is that like it's this desire to be in the in group. So as a woman who's working with teams that are largely male, like if our entire focus is feeling accepted, or do they approve of me, or like am I okay with them, do they think I'm smart enough, instead of just owning the worthiness,
you were seeking approval.
You're seeking approval, and that is the darkness. And that is the thing that like tuning into this feminine energy that's what's allowed me to stop leaning into seeking approval. So that's how it manifested for me. I don't necessarily think it was like, act like a man or whatever, but it's more like get approval from men to feel okay. And that's just not.
Well, the act like a man meant because you were doing everything alone. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I know not all men do that, but I just mean this like kind of like, I'm going to do it all. You know what I mean? Just like that vibe. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So then we moved away from that. But the approval seeking is huge. And most women really suffer with this. And you stopped. Like, I remember when you told me, and obviously some of this was just the internal work. Like your story is really interesting because you were not highly spiritual coming into my container. So you were like, okay, girl, like, I don't really get all this stuff, but like, I'm here for it and I'm open. And it like changed your life.
It did. And it's weird because it's almost like a returning to, like, as a kid, I journaled. I loved going to church. Like, I know we're not talking spirituality in terms of church, but I had a lot of inner, like, astrally type of like, existence as a kid. Like, yeah. I was in touch with something else. But then that like got dulled down and dulled down and dulled down. And by the time I came to you, it was just like, we didn't have work your light cards. We weren't in the Rebecca Campbell circle. You know what I mean? Like, you definitely opened my eyes to all of that. And it's so interesting to me because it also goes back to like Julia Cameron, another one of my favorite books, who wrote The Artist's Way. In her new book, The Listening Path, she talks about how to create is to literally be doing the work that God put us here to do. Like we are literally creators. So if we don't create, then we're not living in our essence. So all of this stuff like meshes together for me. And it goes back to what you're always encouraging everyone in the cohort, Jocelyn. Julia Cameron says this too. Don't think it up, get it down. Just let it come out. Be in touch with that
and go. Stop. Well, because the overly masculine behavior that we get in is the overthinking rather than like that feminine flow. All the messages are coming to you. Like, you guys have to believe that you're doing God's work. It's a real thing. Whether you believe in God or not is not relevant. I am not religious, but universe, God, whoever you want to call it, like whatever it is for you, this work that is coming through you is here on purpose. Like, you are channeling God's work, and you need to believe that and stop squandering your gift, right? This is all of us. When we're playing small, we're people pleasing, we're undercharging, we're not allowing ourselves to be well resourced so we can show up in full power. Because I talk a lot about like being the queen, and obviously like that's a vibe, and I love the vibe. But just beyond like me as a woman or you as a woman, it's also like it's our responsibility to show up with a full cup to our clients and to our audience.
Exactly.
No one is showing up vibrant, bright-eyed, inspirational, calling the people in, calling them forward when you're stressed out, underpaid, worried about this, worried about that. Your email is full of all this stupid shit you don't need to be doing. Like, all of that stuff, it just like drains your magnetism, drains your magnetism, drains your magnetism. So you also owe it to those you serve to be the queen, in addition to you getting like the personal benefit. Because something else that happened with you that I remember you telling me, so great, we made the additional money, we hired the help, but you started realizing, you said that like just by you shifting, and this is why I brought up the internal work that we were doing and do, because you said that like that internal shift for you meant like all of a sudden they started treating you differently.
Yes, I was just gonna say that. Like the work with my almost full-time client that I've had for 6 years now, that I've been consistent with, that I wanted to expand from, I'm still with them, and it has never been a better relationship. I'm less obsessed with them. I am a better consultant to them. And you can tell they feel it, they value it. You know, they're happy for me. They're the first cheerleaders when I post anything around the other work that I'm doing on LinkedIn or Facebook or anything like that. And it's just like, it feels so right, because you realize that everybody wants you in your full power, because then they benefit the most. They don't want you to feel like you need to constantly approval seek, because then they're like, well, what am I getting? If she doesn't really believe in herself, how can she advise me? You know, so it's that belief and that steadfastness really affects your ability to show up. Just as Jocelyn is saying, it's so powerful, everyone. I mean, today I will actually share with you one of the places where I've been doing a lot of practicing of speaking is Clubhouse, as many of you know. And on there today, I shared a tip on one of the workshops I've developed. And I thought to myself, okay, like, should I just send this PDF to a couple people so they can get the value of it? And then I was like, no, scarcity mindset. Like, if I send it, then they're not going to want to buy it. 3 people emailed me back and said, let me know when the workshop is. They literally have the presentation and they want to know when I can read it to them. And they can pay me for that. Like, that's what we're talking about. Like, people are buying being in your presence.
People buy your energy, and you just opened up your energy field so much. I remember one day you were like, Jocelyn, I like woke up whistling today. I don't know what.
I remember that.
Yeah. You learned that you basically can like manifest through astral travel in your sleep.
Oh, we haven't even talked about like, so this is the thing with you, Jocelyn. You are a spark. Like, so much transformation happens in your work. Even months later, there's still new things happening. So I learned my human design. I wouldn't have heard of human design if I wasn't in your group. I learned what it means to be a manifester. Oh my God, because that's what I got.
Powerful, because you can just speak your reality into existence. Wait, can you please tell them about the astral manifestation stuff?
Yes. Okay. So with Ray, who's one of the coaches in Jocelyn's cohort, she gives you this sort of divine business blueprint. Is that what it's called?
Akashic business reading and clearing, but it's like unlike anything you've ever experienced.
It is unlike anything you've ever experienced. And like, I still don't understand it, because like we like barely met. And then she was like, here's everything about you that's amazing. And like, also here's the things that about you that you need to know. And it was so spot on. And one of the things was that you are you are someone who lives like in the astral planes. And what that means is that like you can exist in this space between wake and sleep, and like you can actually direct things to happen in your dreams and get clarity in your dreams. So she taught me some strategies to like journal right before bed and journal right when I wake up. And like it still happens to this day. Even when I was napping this afternoon, before I closed my eyes, I said to myself, okay, I really want some clarity on like the one thing I'm really supposed to share in Jocelyn's live today. And then I woke up and I had it. I haven't said it yet, but it's good. And it's just like that's how I make decisions now.
And that is feminine magnetism. You're in your body, you're in your intuition, you're not thinking your way through. And look what's happening. Like, I want to hear the thing. But also, I loved you told me the other day, because I literally just talked to the women who are in the cohort now about this. You were like, Jocelyn, like every time I post or go on video, someone reaches out to me to work together.
Yes.
That's magnetism.
Yes. I remember when you said it. Sorry. Good.
Okay, hold on. I just want to say one thing.
I'm sorry.
You were like, and what they reached out about has nothing to do with what I was talking about. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't matter what you talk about. You can talk about whatever the hell you want. When people are feeling your vibe, they're feeling your vibe. They're like, and it was like, it's so mind blowing people when I say that because they don't fully get it. But it's true. Look at my lives, ladies. Most of them are not business how-tos.
Exactly.
Because there's so much more going on. Like, yeah, that stuff matters. Yes, I talk about it, but there's so much more going on that actually fuels your power.
Ooh.
So much. So that's what I tap into, or whatever is channeled through. That's what I talk about. It doesn't matter. You guys talk about whatever you want. Okay, but what were you gonna say about?
No, I was gonna agree with that. Like it was, and this was the showing up in this case was like a clubhouse room where I was just there for fun to like talk about politics, one of the things I like to do for fun. And an hour later, I get this email, just to put it into context for everybody that, you know, what you were reacting to, from someone who had, I guess, looked at my profile while I was talking because he connected with my energy. And then the email actually started off with him saying, I just spent the last hour and a half looking at your content on the various social channels and reading your articles. I have been trying to figure out inclusive marketing for the experiential event world. Would love to talk to you about how we can partner on this. It was just like, this man has never even talked to me about my work at all. And he's pitching me on the one thing he thinks he needs to transform his entire business.
It happens to be a very juicy high ticket offer for you.
I mean, right? And it's like, that is because he understands already the value because he's been trying to hit his head against the wall and figure it out. And so
we went from like a political conversation to him stalking you because he liked your vibes, and then actually hiring you for the thing that you want to, moving into a conversation to look at hiring you for the thing that you actually want to sell.
Exactly.
We still got to Rome.
Yep.
We're just doing it our way.
But the key thing is, and you tell everybody in the cohort this, Jocelyn, you have to have your reps and sets out there. So like, let's say he went to my Instagram and it was like, you know, me and the family and the Christmas tree and no link to maximize the movement. I would have
always like, yeah, be loud, be visible. Yeah, make the people feel you.
Right, and put your work out there.
Then that's what I mean by that. But it's not like you have to grind for it. You haven't been grinding. You learned how to also just move so on purpose that all of your content is really high impact.
Oh, let me tell you about, okay, so this is the insight. You're so right on that. The moving and just flowing and not overthinking it. No, not overthinking it. So this summer, I was like, I think I was watching Netflix or something. I was inspired to share a post in the Ascend group for women marketers on LinkedIn. And it was all about like, you need a true value prop statement, you know, define your TVP. Like, and I just wrote this post. It took me maybe 15 minutes to write it. That's a workshop that I sell now. And literally the workshop is nothing more than what was in the post in slide form.
It worked.
Just happened.
We don't need to make it complicated.
Exactly. And so the insight I wanted to share with everyone was like, the biggest thing that gets in our way, I think, from allowing ourselves to operate in that flow, especially when it comes to sharing on social, is our egos. And if we really try to kill them, we allow ourselves to just share our work without thinking about the reaction people are going to have to it. Like that has been the biggest transformation you pushed me toward. And I didn't even know how much of a problem it was.
No one, well, if we really understood it, we wouldn't do it, or we don't know how to get out of it. But when we think about being magnetic women have this like essence and radiance, like there's like a vibration. It's all a vibration, but we learn how to create the vibration on purpose until we become the vibration. So now for you, it's habit, but we just like unwound all the things, kicks this out of the way, kicks that out of the way.
A lot of unwinding.
It's within all of us. We were born magnetic. Of course we are. But it's just like relearning, or what you said earlier, it's almost like a remembering of who you really are, because we've been so programmed to fit in other people's boxes so that we don't rise.
Exactly.
And then we do it to ourselves. Wait, there was something else you said, but yes, I mean, you're producing incredible content. And what's really interesting is it also like it leaves this impression like you're doing so much, even though you're not. And I think that is like the big thing that people don't realize when they see really success. I mean, you're a multiple six-figure earner, and like they see really successful women. It looks like all this stuff's happening. And I'm like, but you learn how to do it smart, because there's no world where you're going to want to keep a business forever that you're grinding for. Like I 100% refuse. I've refused since day one, which is also why I teach it. Like how amazing is it to have this like full-blown brand that's so active and looks so active and is so active? Like you're obviously being impactful, but like you're not stressed out.
Yeah, and I think key to that, to your credit, Jocelyn, was really some of the initial modules in the cohort where we talked about how to define that brand as far as how it serves the audience. Because once you're really clear on that, like you don't need to make it up every time. I think skipping that step is what leads a lot of people to exhaustion. And then when you think about the brand itself, but then also your offers, you also need to have that level of clarity in your offers.
100%. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
I mean, I think this is so important because like you came to me at multiple six figures, right? And then scaled from there. And people will think just because they're making money, let's say you guys are at 10K months, wherever, and you're wanting to scale further, or you're at the beginning, but at the beginning you tend to understand more, that you don't fully understand what you do and how you serve. People just put a title on themselves, like calling yourself a Reiki practitioner, think that's enough. I'm like, nobody's making big bucks with a process as your title. You cannot just be a consultant. It's like, what is going on? And I can't just be a business coach, right? Or like, who the hell cares? That is not interesting. But we have to do that work at all income levels. If you guys want to keep rising and be successful, whether you're at day one, at six figures, wherever, it's like you have to have done that work. And also it evolves over time, right? Because like we get better at our craft, our message might change. Like it's kind of an evolution, but that has to happen. Because when you deeply understand what you are here for, why you care, who you serve, like all the ins and outs, and it sounds generic, but really like doing the work to pull it out of you, because it sounds generic, yet 90% of the women that I've ever called in have not done this well on their own or wherever they came from before they got to me. So nobody gets it. You're just out there with like some loosey-goosey title talking about whatever, and like it doesn't land. And Lola, you're talking about how people reach out to you with every post, every video. That is what we call magnetic messaging, which is like what I'm here for.
I mean, and the process, let's talk a little bit about like the detail of the program that works so well. It's like you're getting to interface with specialists at every touch point. So as you know, I love working with Shani. Like that's our messaging coach in the cohort, and she
incredible.
Also like very real talk energy, you know what I mean? But she really taught me to rethink how I, as somebody who even considers herself a writer for years, but to rethink how I think about what copy really is versus writing. Like, what is copy? Copy is something that does a very particular function. and it's about compelling an action, and that's it. Like I had to really deprogram myself from the goal, which is not a real goal, but like an internal ego goal of wanting to sound smart in my copy. And nobody cares. And in fact, that demagnetizes you from people because they're like, oh, she's insecure. And so really getting to practice that in a group setting and get attention from somebody who, like, you know, I mean, she could be working with the top CMOs at Fortune 500 companies for like who like clamor to have her help, and they do. So like getting that in this experience is invaluable, right? So that was huge. And again, it continues to pay dividends because the way I think about writing copy changed fundamentally.
100%. And then you've talked about your experience with Ray, who works with us regularly. And yeah, I mean, why don't you share with the women around that? Because I do think that internal work piece, because we talked about we talked about a little bit about both, but we do obviously do the businessy things like I've talked about. Nothing's happening without those like really locked in. But then another huge piece of the work is the internal work, because
yeah, I mean, every top entrepreneur talks about it. Mm-hmm. If you look hard enough to see. And that's the hardest part about being an entrepreneur or growing your own business is that you cannot ignore anything inside you that needs to be healed if you want to be able to do it.
I literally always say, I'm like, above all else, besides you being of service, you doing your thing for yourself, this is a personal growth journey.
Absolutely.
1000%.
And so what I love about Ray from day one is somebody who honestly was hesitant to like have a conversation about all of this kind of, maybe you might call it a woo-woo type of stuff. Like what it turned into, because she's so approachable, is just that at the most basic level, I, Ray, am the type of person who can see into the essence of how you really feel, what you really think, and what you're really capable of, and who you really are as a person as far as what drives you and how you should work most effectively. And I'm going to give you I keep calling it a blueprint, but I'm going to give you a reading. Like I still have it literally in a folder right by my desk. In fact, without like being too destructive. Okay, I knew that was going to happen. That's not the right folder. But when next time you talk, I'll pull it up. It's down there somewhere in my pile. But like I have my entire reading from her, and I refer back to it. And it literally taught me how to better shape my day. So here's one very concrete insight that
things. And what about too, because we obviously have like group healing and energy work. And so it's very vulnerable space, right? Because everyone's basically like, that's the time where we all show up with like how we're feeling.
Yeah, you learn to share your feelings openly in a way that you realize afterwards you actually needed. Like you clear the space for more excellence to happen in your business by sharing. And it doesn't feel too intimidating because like if you don't feel like sharing that day, you can just be there. But I think everyone starts to get to the point where you want to open up because you see the value of it. But real quick, I just wanted to share this one concrete thing too from Ray. Even before I learned I was a manifester in human design, and what everyone who knows what that means knows is that it's all about initiating and like following the spark of, I'm splenic too. So like the spark. Thank you, Nadia, for teaching me all this stuff.
And your intuition. I love
intuition, that. Right. But what Ray taught me from just doing my reading, that is part of your program, Jocelyn, is the outcome of that. She was like, you need to always be in action. Inspired action, inspired action. If you're thinking too much, move on to the next thing. And that is such counter advice from everything you're taught the way we're raised in this country and in the traditional business world. It's more like plan, then act. And of course I didn't do well in that like context, but she freed me to be able to work in the way that makes sense for me, where I write a LinkedIn post that becomes a course that I sell. I couldn't have planned that. It just happened, and that's okay.
I say all the time, I get led to do the most bizarre things. I no longer worry about why, where they're going, whatever. I just do the thing, and then it is on the other side of the thing just shows up, and I'm like, we're good.
Yeah.
Totally taken all logic, whatever. I mean, obviously, I'm a business coach. I know how to structure a business and how all the strategies add up and all the things. And those things are important. That's the foundation. That's the masculine structure that allows you to have these intuitive hits and just go, because everything's working. The people are there, the messaging is working, the structure is there, you know how to deliver offers, you know how to sell, you know what you're talking about, all the businessy things are done. So these little idea sparks get to have huge impacts because you're so well supported. And that's why I'm passionate about business strategy, so that we can just be like in our feminine and like flowing.
Yep. And that's what it's been. I
mean,
No, I was just gonna say that's what it's been. That's been, the new ideas have somewhere to go that can generate income. That's the key.
And like quickly.
Yes.
Not like, let me turn it over for 6 months, and like you no longer have to do that, right? And like, I remember something, like one of the big things for you that I saw, I was like, well, because, okay, I guess I said you're a well-paid babysitter, but in addition to
thanks for reminding me.
But in addition to that, I was like, babe, we don't have a brand.
Right.
You are like a well-paid 1099 employee. You just don't go to the office. We need a brand. You're the queen. You're Oprah of Corporate Marketing. Like, let's do the damn thing.
It was hard for me. Remember, I didn't even want to put my name on the website under the brand name. Like it's almost crazy to think back to where I was around this time last year, because
now you're so vocal and so you're like a different person. Yeah.
Even saying Lola is this, like that shift was hard. Yeah. It was essential, but it was really hard to own that. Like, we're so traumatized by being wrist slapped for using our voices. It's a problem.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. Thank you to the patriarchy. I'm not blaming men. I'm just talking about overall.
It's the system.
To men too. Like, it's just this whole culture of keeping people small.
Well, let me tell you what happened last week, Jocelyn, where it starts to just roll off your back. So I interviewed one of my marketing gurus, Guy Kawasaki. Yeah. That was awesome. And it was literally exactly what Jocelyn's saying about just like rising to the occasion. I met him in a random room in Clubhouse and I said, come on my show. And he said, okay. So I was sharing the news about this, just like we do. Of course, you have to spread the word. Shared it in one of these marketing groups I'm in on Facebook, and it's a mostly white male dominated group. And this guy immediately responds, this is self-promotion. Like, and by the way, Guy Kawasaki, he's so lame. Like, people interview people like that, I immediately tune them out. And it was just like, where I would have been upset about it maybe a year ago, it was so dripping in his self-hatred and feelings of inferiority and jealousy and all of those things that it was just almost funny. And it's like, they don't want us to outshine them, so much so that when something very clearly good happens to us, some of them come back with an energy of scolding just to make themselves look silly.
I know, you start to not care what anybody says. I mean, you really are so in your own frequency that like you laugh.
Yeah.
Because like you've also processed so much of your stuff and have so much more awareness that like you can see how deeply in pain and like just all distorted someone who's moving through the world like that is, that like it has nothing to do with you.
It really doesn't. Nope.
And the reason I brought up your brand is because we also spent a lot of time developing your brand in the
company,
which was really fun. And I love brand work.
it was really fun. I mean, not only did I develop my main brand with you, so that's Biko. I mentioned it before, everyone, but it was originally like an idea I had on paper around like a company where people are becoming and become, and like that whole Michelle Obama vibe, but I wanted help getting that to be custom to me. And so that was part of kind of where Jocelyn really helped me. And then beyond that, how does that extend into offers and product swim lanes that sit under and support the main brand? And we got to some really compelling ones of those in a very short period of time. And they're resonating with people. You know, this is the kind of brand architecture I left your program with. People pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to a creative agency to create.
I know, baby, I'm smart.
Right? So like, it's like, wow. And again, I can't even really explain how the magic like really happened because it was so instant. But it happened. And your frameworks are very clear. Like that's part of the value too.
And I also also, I did spend 15 years in the sales and marketing world, and I get this stuff. And so I also understood like where you were coming from and what is going on in your world, even though you and I are in different kinds of businesses. But that's why I'm able to help women coming from both spaces. But yeah, that's my whole thing. It doesn't need to take a long time. It's just that like I learned how to distill all of this craziness and be like, this is what you need to focus on.
Well, you know, one theme that you really focus on for everyone in whatever context their business delivers value. This is, I think, something that's super powerful. I remember hearing other people being coached, and even from my stuff being coached, it was always about what is the value you're creating for that person that you're selling to? What is the world they're going to live in after you? So let's talk about what that transformation really looks like and use it to color how we frame the brand and then how we talk about it in our content. Like, how can you make them desire being on the other side?
Literally. And literally like desire you, because you know that's my favorite word. And but that's the energy that we want to elicit out of people. I want to talk to you about maximizing the movement because it's such powerful work. And like you have clients in it now, which is incredible. And
beyond that, workshops, like it's actually moving to, I think that's going to be where it moves to more to, but I'll pause and let me hear your whole question. Sorry.
Well, I just think literally we were working together during the most like tumultuous period in history for our lifetime. Yep. Right. And so, especially being Black women in America, this was like very interesting time for us to be connecting, and you can't not like address like certain things through your work. Like it became really important to you to like have a voice in this space, right? And also because so many corporations are shit in this department, you know how they tend to handle inclusivity, like whether it be like sexual orientation, race, like whatever it is, it's all this like surface level bullshit.
Yep.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
Nothing. And so to me, it was also just like a very emotional experience considering the time we were living in while you were working on this, and like helping you like with the language. So it's like, okay, how do we help these corporations without like shaming them?
Yes.
We want them to pay you. So it's like, how are we going to bring this really important work into the world in a way where like they're actually doing the right thing from the inside out, like how we change from the inside out, and they're monetizing their business, because I'm sorry, at the end of the day, it's still a business. They need to make money. Let's like be in the real world. So we're going to help you grow your business. We're going to help you grow your business from a place of like actual impact, not just whatever your thing is that you sell, but from a much deeper place. And it was just like, I loved the journey of positioning you where you weren't like putting them down. Yes. Like, oh, I'm a Black woman, I know better than you, and like you're whatever, but like you're inviting them in, but also telling the truth, because there's so much, which is like what I do, right? That's how I communicate. Yes. There's so much magic in that, and it's really an art to get that right in the corporate world.
And we went through a number of like reps, right? Like really trying to get that language right. I think we nailed it because I have the evidence. So there is a gentleman named Steve Pochtras who interviewed me recently on his podcast. And the way that he wrote this up, I'll add the link to the comments after the live. It was literally like he was receiving it all and telling all the other white men in the world that they needed to receive it too. It was phenomenal. It was really, and it was because that nuance of the messaging was so spot on, and it was about the incentive of basically, are you really so unwilling to become anti-racist that you're going to leave money on the table? Like he got it.
Like they hear it. Yeah.
Right. And so I couldn't be more like grateful that I got to figure out that journey with you, because honestly, the idea of making sure you lead with your value when you're creating a high ticket offer is exactly the principle that led to making Maximize the Movement about not just being inclusive from a representation standpoint in marketing, but doing it in a way that drives revenue impact. Like that's the same principle. Think about it. Like we got to that edge that no one else is talking about. Literally, no one else, all the advertising.
No one else offering this.
No one else is offering this.
No.
And we have a framework that unlocks the result. Literally, do these 3 things and boom. And it's not even that I believe in it, it's just true.
Yeah.
And I got to create it in this program.
And I just think it's so powerful that now you're getting paid even more to do such meaningful work.
And here's the crazy
It
part.
literally just matters to you also, just
Yes.
culturally, you Black women in America, you as a human. We obviously don't need to be Black to care, but I'm just saying it hits home in a different way when something is about you.
And tell me what you think about this, Jocelyn. My intent with Maximize the Movement was to go in and really do the work. What I'm finding is that people are even willing to pay just to hear the framework, just to hear me give the tools.
Well, you're lighting, yeah. But this is like getting paid to speak, right?
Yes.
They just want to hear your voice. This is what turned me on before I started this business, which was when I got paid like well over my New York rent in a day to go share my brain with this brand. I didn't do any work.
Right.
I just talked about what I know. And then, this is when I was in my last full-time job. And I was like, because we underestimate our intelligence so much. We don't even know what we know. We're giving it no value. And then when I saw that monetary exchange over a few hours for me just sharing what I know from my experience, I was like, we got to do something different.
Yep. And I think I remember you kind of encouraging me to be better at like recognizing that that's what I can sell. I think I resisted it and kept wanting to say, okay, here's I'm going to come in and like do the work.
I was always like, do less.
Just show up, talk to them about it. But you're right. Like this deal that I just mentioned, the speaking deal, is to take them through my existing Maximize the Movement deck, give them the framework. And as you also always say, add on value adds that are really low energy for you to show up for. So like, sure, in the next 3 months, if you guys want to come do a Q&A with me, you got that with the rate that you're paying. You know?
I mean, you basically make people excited to pay you big money.
Mm-hmm.
That's the energy.
Got it.
And I just love that you like get it so deeply now. Oh, there was something else I wanted to, but also I'm just like so honored that we produced that work together and that people are paying you for it, and just like for the world,
Me too, Jocelyn. Honestly, like sincerely, like there's no other place I was supposed to be than with you for those months. And that was not our last collaboration, just so you know. I will, next time I'm creating a net new offer, like I will come to you. Like that's just what I'm going to do.
It just works so well for you. It's so incredible. Oh, the other cool thing that kept happening to you. So one, I feel like you just started manifesting opportunities right, left, backwards, forwards. And you would tell me that, I can't remember, but I want you to tell the story if you can remember. There was some situation where like you didn't like the arrangement of how you were being presented or paid, or like there was something, and you learned to just like speak up for yourself and say what you want and basically be like, actually it needs to be like this. And people just started saying yes to you all the time.
Mm-hmm. Trying to remember exactly what that
was.
I remember what it was.
It was after we finished.
Okay, let me think here. Ooh.
Also, ladies, can you please
yes,
your questions? Go ahead.
Oh yes, people have questions. So I think it was with one of the not organization. I don't want to call out this platform, but like so basically doing something where you're showing up as like a panelist, but there's no value exchange, and getting asked to kind of do way more than it makes sense to do. Yeah. And me just being like, okay, well, here's what I can do. I can show up here, and here's what I expect. Like I ended up getting some assets that I could use to sort of make that experience worth my while, as opposed to actual monetary payment, because they don't pay speakers. So just sort of making demands even when other people aren't. People say yes.
Because it's just this vibe of like, I get what I want because I want it.
And then the results are amazing. Like I think at that event, they had the most people ever come to one of their, we won't even say what they are, but because if I say it's going to be obvious, but there was demand for it beyond what they usually get. So they understood the value of having me involved. Let's put it that way.
And because you understand your own value now. It's
Exactly.
so powerful. And what I feel like there were so many other instances of like people just coming to you. Haven't you been winning awards?
Oh yeah, so I won an award for the Ascend group. This is Impact 20. So this is my first little like marketing award, which is cute. But the funny thing about that is this is, I think, just the sort of thing that happens when you're operating in your worth. So I'm going to tell this story, and I'm telling it because I think people need to hear it. Sometimes you need to tell people what they're going to give you.
Yeah.
So I spoke at this conference, and they had an award for the best use of LinkedIn. And when I found out who had received it, I learned that it was Pepperdine University in the year 2020. Really? And I'm doing a group that's the only group for executive women. And nothing like this exists. And you're going to give it to Pepperdine University. I called them up and I said, I noticed that one of the organizers works at Pepperdine, and I think I should have been considered for the LinkedIn award. Guess what? I got the LinkedIn award. So like, if not, I mean, I know we're talking about magnetism, but I'm just also saying that sometimes the queen has to let people know like where they went wrong and what needs to happen next.
I mean, the queen has standards.
Yeah. And it wasn't even like I was mad. I was just like, I think you forgot to give me this award.
Literally.
And
I love it. That is just such a vibe. It's so good. So good. Okay, hold on. Let me look at comments because I haven't been looking. Oops.
Okay.
Jazz. Hi, Jazz. Yay. Call them in instead of calling them out. 100.
Yes.
I love that. Maximize.
Turn to sender.
Turn to sender. I mean, for real. Hi, ladies. Okay. Do you have questions? Please leave them because I want to make sure that we answer. And while we have Lola and her genius brain, well, is there anything else you want to share in general?
What else do I want to share in general? In general, I hope everyone just starts to create more, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and really without feeling the pressure of it, but feeling the fun of it. This was an insight from Ray, actually, in our very last session in your program, Jocelyn. She helped me reframe the things that I avoid by changing my internal mental talk track on it. So instead of like, I have to post on LinkedIn today, think to yourself, I get to post on LinkedIn today.
Yeah.
Like just that little shift.
We just take the pressure off.
Take the pressure off.
This is again like being in your feminine. There's just no pressure. There's just like flow and inspiration. And I know it doesn't always feel like that, but it's just like allowing ourselves to like bathe more in that energy. Cause like, especially being women, when we feel pressure, like physical pressure, tense, you know, like basically this masculine energy that's kind of too much for us, we retract because it doesn't feel good. Men thrive under pressure, deadlines, danger. Like it gets them going, right? We're totally different animals. And like, thank God, because I don't want to deal with that stuff. Happy to have men deal with that stuff. I would so much rather allow myself to be relaxed and move from that place. But it's hard to trust because our culture overvalues masculine energy.
Well, exactly. And honestly, what I think is that maybe this is provocative, but I think we're moving into a season where everybody is going to benefit from flowing more.
Oh, yeah. I talk to women, but I'm not hating on men. Men need this too. My brothers tell me they listen to my content. Stefan is like, Jocelyn, I listen to your content. And I'm like, girl, preach.
He's
like,
the person who brought me to you, right? Yeah. So like, this is like the idea of just being able to not let the world turn us into a stress ball who can't do their work.
Yeah.
Like, of course we all need that. And it doesn't have to be hard.
And men exist within them also. My audience just happens to be women, but like masculine and feminine energies do obviously like need to be have a healthy place within all of us. I'm just saying that certain things don't stress men out as much as they stress us out just because of our biological differences. At the base level, they are hunters. We're not.
You know, the other thing you taught me that I benefit from now is like deciding it's okay how your rhythms work. And I was talking about this with Nadia too. I tend to not want to take morning meetings.
I don't. Are you kidding?
And like when you told me, you're like, I never do. I was like, oh, so wait, I can just take these off my Calendly. And now they're gone. Oh.
And just tell the people, this is when I do my thing. But everyone's
Right?
like, okay.
Like, and people are like, okay. In fact, they're like, oh, I better make sure I get that time. I heard a guy on Clubhouse the other day, and he's one of those men who you can tell he's in touch with his feminine in a very productive way. And he was like, well, I take meetings on Thursdays. I was like, he was like, no, only on Thursdays. I take meetings once a week on Thursdays, and that's when I take meetings.
Love it.
Standards. Like, people are not going to procrastinate on getting on your calendar.
No. And people who have these standards and boundaries just get paid better, and everyone has a kind of like higher level perception of them. We respond to this energy.
Yes. Because we all want it. We all want to be able to be that decisive in saying, this is the life I'm going to live. Like, so especially if it's a scenario where that person's going to be your advisor or your coach or something like that, that in itself is a marketing strategy, just to say, I only take meetings on Thursdays. I'm like, oh, well then teach me how to do that, you know?
That man is well paid. 100% sure.
How he was chilling. I feel like he was eating grapes and maybe getting his nails manicured while he was on that Clubhouse call. Like, that's just how chill he seems.
And I think it's so funny. Andrea, are you here? She said something to me so funny. I had like I guess it was like a reading healing with her. And she was like, something that you offer women that's so interesting, because obviously, like, I present the way that I present. I still am like bold and loud in the thing. She was like, but your vibe of like how you like things is basically, she was like, it's like you're a stoner, but you don't smoke weed. Like, you just want everything so chill.
I love it.
Like, oh my God.
It's that herbal tea effect, Jocelyn.
What did you say?
I said, it's that herbal tea effect.
Yeah, like, I just like things. She was like, you didn't buy into this like purity, because you know, a lot of people with like religious trauma or who grew up with like all of these rules and all this stuff, and it's sort of like this sort of like puritanical, really like buttoned up, uptight energy that makes us like really stressed out and questioning ourselves and constricted and like worried about random stuff, like how productive we are from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Like, who cares? Unless you like to do that, you know what I mean? Just all those things. She was like, somehow you just never bought into any of that. And you were just like, why? I don't want to do any of these things.
Yeah.
Like, that's true. I mean, no one taught me that. I was just always like, well, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that like some people who benefited from some of those frameworks of like, here's the best time to wake up and here's the best way to do this. What they're really saying is, here's what has been working for me. And that's it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it's going to work for anybody else.
Anyone has to do anything. I just think that like you're really harming yourself if you follow all of this advice that like, if you don't get up at 5 a.m. and immediately work out and like drink your green juice and have like structure and discipline for your entire day, that you won't be successful. That's a huge lie.
It's huge. And you know what? You know why it's such a huge lie? I can say every single one of the up-level opportunities that have come from learning to operate in the flow of my intuition and my gut and that like splenic like desire to do a thing, none of it is anything I could have planned the day before. None of it. Not asking for the award, not speaking in a Clubhouse room that led to this guy to call me up about experiential marketing and maximize the movement, not working with you. You know, I got a call from a friend who said, you need this. And I said, okay. Like, none of it could have been planned the day before.
That's not how the world works. And women are out there being like, I want to quantum leap my life. I want to quantum leap my money. I want to quantum leap this, quantum leap that. I'm like, there's nothing linear about quantum leaping. There's nothing linear about energy. You just learn how to like get in this energy on purpose. You can get in on purpose. You can learn how to get in it, but like, that's where the magic happens. And that's what makes all the other things we do like so potent and work so well. It's like blending them together. But it's so interesting because we don't even realize, we're like, I want this big magical life. I want it to happen fast. I want this, I want that. I'm like, I'm here for speed. That's what I offer, right? But I'm like, it's not linear. And it's so hard for us to accept, again, hyper masculine culture where like everything is supposed to be planned and line up and make sense and did it. I'm like, that's not what magic is. You always talk about magic.
I do. I was just going to say, one of my new things I recently posted was like, if everybody believed in it, it wouldn't be magic.
Why don't you expand on that for us?
So for me, one of the things, it's almost like that person who responded to me sharing the interview clip. Yeah. There will be resistance when you start having these up levels and like really becoming a person who's operating in your power. And I think those are actually positive signs that you're doing your work. And so that's what I want to remind people, especially women, like if everybody believed in it, if you didn't hear people resisting what you're doing, and if you even internally didn't have that resistance at times, because, you know, this can be tough, like something amazing happens and then you fight yourself and you sabotage and then you rise to the occasion again, like that resistance is a sign that it's working. And so that's what I mean by if everybody just believed in it, it wouldn't be magic. Like it's magic because it is unfathomable, but that's what's so amazing about it.
I always say, like, guys, we have to remember that you stepping into this level of greatness for yourself, this business, this queen energy, this feminine flow, this money, this commanding things from the universe and people around you and them saying yes, all of this whole energy is outside of the norm.
Yes.
Most people are suffering and continue to suffer for their entire life, making good enough. And like, we're here for great. I'm not down with good enough.
Exactly. I mean, have you read The Big Leap?
I haven't.
Okay, so in it, like the zone of genius concept is what we're all aspiring to be. It's where you are. It's where I'm trying to get. But where most people are, the zone of competence.
Oh.
And isn't that what you just described?
Yes, I just haven't read the book. But
yeah,
explain it.
That's another thing. You know this already. Like he wrote about this thing that you discovered, and he wrote about his discovery of the thing. It's pretty interesting because like it was literally a similar journey of post-corporate and finding myself and learning these things. And then he just wrote about it in this context. But like, yeah, when you're in the zone of competence, everything triggers you because inherently, you know, you're not doing what you were on this earth what you were put on this earth to do. And that's devastating.
And you're repeating information. It's not even coming through you. So of course you don't feel confident because it's not your truth. That's where all this, did I get it right? Did I get it right? You don't have to wonder if you got it if it's your truth.
Yes.
It's yours.
Yes. Yes. And it's not like it's like perfect. It's funny. I was reading this book, maybe it was like a month ago. And even in that moment, I was going through a moment of like, I posted something, no one really seemed to like notice it, and I felt crappy. And like in the book, right? You have those moments, but in the book it said, guess what? True zone of genius is when you no longer care. And like
me too, it happens to all of us.
Right? But like you remind yourself that like, okay, letting myself roll around in this more than just noticing it, like feeling the feelings and moving on, is like I'm not allowing myself to operate in the zone of genius. So you have to move past it.
I always talk about it like I just decide that everything I do gets to work, you know? So whatever that one thing people didn't respond to, I've had that happen, and then someone they DM me to work together.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Know what it's going to be. So just do all the things. Like sometimes people are going to love posts, sometimes they're not going to pay attention, but you don't know who is paying attention.
Exactly.
So I move through the world like God, angels, universe, ancestors, Oshun, all my people, come forward.
I love to focus on Oshun. That is literally my people. I love it. I love that she is.
Oshun is my homegirl. When she came into my life, changed my life. But anyway, I'm just like, whatever needs to channel through me, allow me to do this with ease. And just whoever needs to see this will see this. This works. Everything works. I don't care what marketing metrics we're looking at. I see cash in the bank. You know what I mean? Like, who cares?
Yep.
These vanity metrics. I've coached women who have quadruple the following that I do, who had no idea how to make real money.
Exactly. It's such an epidemic.
What?
It's such an epidemic. Like the disconnect between presence and like exposure on social media and actually having a business. It's the scariest thing for me, for the younger generation of women as well, because I think people are really getting a lot of satisfaction, ego satisfaction from this, like having a presence and being noticed, but like they're literally not, they're wasting their time and they're not making any money.
It's so sad because it's still the same energy of the Matrix and people don't realize they're doing it. I'm like, of course. And like, I'm down for like wearing whatever you want. I do shoots in bathtubs, all that kind of stuff, whatever, because I want to. But I'm saying, like, of course, isn't it better for you to just be like, okay, cool, I'll take my clothes off and be on social media and just like focus on my likes and have like no orientation for how to turn this into a business?
Right.
I have no problem with being naked on social media and the whole thing. I'm like, do whatever you want. I feel you, but make some money.
Yes.
Empower yourself. And it's like, of course, here we go with new waves of matrix energy of all these women who are now like just worried about. I mean, I had someone reach out to me who wanted to work together, and she has like a very, I don't know, 60,000 followers on Instagram, something like that, is not making money. She's beautiful. She produces amazing content. She's always like looks amazing. So of course there's all these men and all this stuff and everyone's vibing with her. But whenever she uses her voice, whenever she makes a statement, she was like, I'm losing followers. I was like, you don't even have, do you care?
Like what is the objective here?
What is the objective? You need to worry about making impact, having a business, and actually having not just like, I'm here for big money, but also we need to get to like able to support myself before we get to overflow.
Right.
You know, like it is our duty as women to show up for ourselves. Don't have your connection with men need to be based on money. Have it, you want a fucking thriving, amazing relationship, then stop needing to go through the world looking for a man to pay for everything. And then instead let him be your actual soulmate.
Well, and there's so many, like, there's so many more like
who are oriented towards men. You guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I think in that person who's posting with that like perspective, it may even be just because, you know, she hasn't really thought about or even has no framework to understand what's possible as far as monetizing that audience.
Well, exactly. I keep telling her, I'm like, girl, you need to come hire me. You'll be making money so fast. You already have, and we have so much to work with. You just don't know what to do.
Yeah, now we just need to sell them something that's going to transform their lives. And by the way, do not rely on, but these sponsorships that like, that's another thing I'm hearing a lot now. Like people are saying, oh, well, no, I'm just focusing on my audience and then I'm going to get sponsorships. That's great. But what's your product? Like, well, you don't want to have to rely on a brand sponsoring you for your entire income. Build a product that you own that people can, when they get in your energy, respond to by purchasing it.
You have to learn how to productize yourself.
And so they come to you.
Right. I just get frustrated because I'm like, you still get to do all the same vibes. You get to wear whatever you want. You can do the whole thing and we can make a ton of money. And people dropping off who don't want to hear your truth, I'm always like, great, universe. I lose followers all the time because I'm so direct. I'm like, perfect, clear out the cup. I don't need any weird negative vibes around me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Why cater your business to people who are on the fence about what you do?
And it's just, and I love her, but it's just a perfect example of this like weird brainwashing for vanity metrics and approval that doesn't actually lead to anything. I'm like, where are we going? What's at the end of the road? There's no end. There's just you searching and panting for more attention and you're not happy and we don't have money in the bank.
I mean, and that is a very unhappy situation that we don't want to be in. So I think, and unfortunately, Jocelyn, I have to go grab dinner with the family in a little bit, but one last thing I want to share is that I think the community you've created here in Born to Be a Boss is an amazing example of how to get started with just reframing how you think about your worth, because just become surrounded by women who think of it another way, and don't spend time surrounded by people who aren't helping you reframe into a more positive way of existence. Like, I wish there was more of a focus on that. Like, you are who you're surrounded by. So come to a space like this and be surrounded by people who can help you feel great and then solve these problems, you know?
Totally. And I'm just here from like, let's solve the problems and let's feel good.
Yes.
Like, we are here to feel good. And it's weird, but I just feel like so much of the work is like learning how to feel good.
It's almost all of it, like letting ourselves.
Yeah.
I have so many memories about all the emotions I went through in the program and like the progression. And I'm so grateful. It feels really good to have gone through that. And like, even some of the things I never thought could be me, like just the level of chill that like I have now at some level, without losing my intensity, because that's not what it's about, but it's just like not feeling like you're on the edge of failure. Like, I no longer feel like that, you know?
Music to my ears. And you can be chill and still have fire. I'm super fiery.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just like you and feel internally sound, which can move you
Yes.
forward in the world differently.
Yes. And I'm hearing that from everyone, even my family. Like, wow, well, you seem so centered. You seem so grounded. You seem so calm. Wow, your energy is different. You know, you speak more slowly.
Yeah.
You know, you're more compelling. Like, it feels like you're focused. All of these things that I don't think were used to describe me for the past 6 years, you know? So,
I mean, it all just makes me so happy, and it just makes my work feel like this is what I care about. And it just honestly makes it feel so fulfilling to have such, like, because it's the business and the money, and it's also just so much more. And also, like, what I love is the lasting impact. It's not like, okay, you're only thriving while you're with me and then we're like a disaster. It's like, no, it just keeps getting better and better and better and better. Like, I want women to actually come to me and change their lives.
absolutely. I mean, and to the point where whenever people ask me, so how did you do that? It comes up almost every day in some conversation where I'm sending some. In fact, I want a promo code on your website. You know what I mean? Like, type Lola to let Jocelyn know that you came from, like, I mean, it's just, I tell everyone about you and the amazing people I met in this group that we were in. I think the founding members of the cohort, and now getting to see how many other women are coming in and out and doing amazing things. It's just it's wonderful.
This sisterhood is really, I mean, it really calls in incredible, heart-centered, compassionate. Like, there's never any dramas. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a whole feel-good space. And that's really important to me too, because so many women have like mother trauma, sisterhood issues, etc. Because you know how usually it's other women going after women. That's what we're used to. It's not men coming for us. For the most part, it's other women. And so there's also just that internal rewiring to put yourself in a group of other women who actually really care how you're doing and are really excited. There's no competition. It's like everything feels good. So I also feel like it helps us kind of like address some of our issues around other women.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I definitely changed in my posture towards acceptance, like not always feeling like I need to critique everyone's approach to a thing. I'm much more able to just sort of say, oh, like, interesting now, which saves you a lot of time and energy. You know, I think, no, go ahead.
Well, when we're judging other people and critiquing other people, it's because we're doing it to ourselves.
Exactly. Like, that was the way my zone of competence manifested, which was like, okay, everything that comes across, I'm going to like analyze it and point out the things that are wrong.
Yeah.
But like, why?
Oh, Lola, love this, love all of this. And I'm sure everyone else does too. You are such an incredible woman. So what do you got going on? How can everyone get in touch with you?
Yes. So I think
Also, ladies, even if you're not in corporate marketing, get in Lola's group. Remember too that so much of why I'm so good at this stuff is from being in the corporate world. Like, let's be open to information from all places.
Absolutely. I mean, there are a couple different things I have going on because I'm definitely a multi-passionate, multi-hyphenate, all that stuff. So the best thing to do for everyone is to go to my website, makeitbe.co/3 words, unleash your magic.
And I'll put your link that has all your.
Yeah, that's the link that has all the stuff. So I'll pop that in the comments, but it's makeitbe.co/unleash your magic. And that's sort of our Linktree page that has link outs to everything from the LinkedIn group, which I'd love for everyone who's interested to join, to the Fishbowl community, which is a much larger community of not just senior women marketers, but all, women marketers. And there's a lot of really cool Q&A going on there too. There's the sort of Clubhouse experience, which I will be producing a week-long conference on Clubhouse and LinkedIn during South by week. So look out for that. And yeah, if you're following me on any of the social channels, you'll hear about everything that's going on. I think LinkedIn and Instagram are probably the ones where I'm most active. So I'd love to see all of you there. If I had to put one single call to action that's easiest for everyone watching right now, follow me on Instagram. Yeah. And my bio link actually sends you to that link tree. So
perfect. And I put it in the caption above the live, so it's easy for you guys to click on.
Oh, good. It's already there. See, she is so smart.
And ladies, obviously, please come join us in the cohort. I am so passionate about all of your work, all of your businesses.
Highly recommend.
Women being happy, making money, doing whatever you want, doing it on your terms. Like, Lola's transformation has just been so phenomenal. She is not the only one. And like, it is just such a deep, multi-dimensional, life-changing experience. And it does not need to take forever, and it does not need to be really painful. Yes, we have emotions. We have support for moving through the emotions, but I'm not into the arduous journey.
It's so much fun, you guys. And I made lifelong friends. We didn't talk about that part. You will, and I mean, especially in this pandemic when we're starved for connection, this was the thing that made me not lose my mind. And now I have this network of people who are also building and creating, so it's just say yes.
Thank you. I adore you. This was so much fun.
It was.
So incredible. Thank you so much for your time, Lola. This is like so emotional for me.
I'll see you next week on Clubhouse. I'll send you more info on that.
Yeah, agreed to join Clubhouse just to do this one chat with Lola.
I mean, and like, your cup is about to run even further over because they will not be able to get enough.
Right. And I get to like lay on the sofa and do it. That's
exactly. This is so you. You could be in the bathtub with the roses. You know what I mean? Just like booking new clients. I love it. Okay, my dear. Have a great day. You're welcome.
Bye. Bye.